Welcome back to the after party of the wedding of the year, where we were stuck in the boot.
Yes.
Witnessing this socially distanced wedding.
Because what you didn't see was Stuart was running his car ragged around an abandoned parking lot with rave music and drum and bass music playing, and he locked us in the boot.
Yeah, and he forgot, and then we were trapped in there with him.
He just wanted to have one last go at being a horrible, evil Stuart.
Yeah. Now he's comedy Stuart for forevermore.
For purposes unknown.
So we got special VIP passes to Rainie and Stuart's big wedding, which was a week-long event for EastEnders, and there was loads of build-up to it. We saw the wedding, we saw the after-party, we saw all the family come. It was just one of the best EastEnders weddings I've seen.
And they just love doing occasions on EastEnders now, don't they? I mean, just doing the same old monotonous stuff. It's just not. It's not in their agenda.
They really made the wedding feel special and unique.
It's like when they have christenings or funerals. They really make a big deal of them on EastEnders, and this wedding was not an exception to the rule.
That's right. So this wedding took place on the week beginning when was it? 28th of September to the 2nd of October. So that's the week that we're discussing. Big news for Rainie.
Yeah, news that we didn't think could be news for Rainie. We're almost vetoing the whole Baby Abby story from beginning to the very end, because the reason she wanted to be with Max was because she couldn't have a child. Ever. But that's, again...
We'll talk about them later. The character development was all odd, but we'll talk about Rainie and Stuart later because they're a big day. But we're going to start off.
Well, can I say hello?
If you want.
Because you've just bulldozed into this.
Oh, yeah, we have to introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, go on then.
Shall I introduce you as well?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay, so I'm Alex, and I'm the one keeping this train wreck on the rails. And I'm joined today by the supposed presenter and host, Ben.
That's right. I'm here.
We're also joined by a wet cat.
The past few weeks you might have noticed there's some strange noises in the podcast. It is the cat trying to be edited out, but it's not always possible. So you may hear cat noises when we're discussing things.
Where we record now, because we're up in Bonnie, Scotland, we have a different room where we record in, and unfortunately we don't have the facilities to keep the cat out of this room.
No.
But it's the only room that doesn't have a huge echo. So you'll thank us later that you hear a meow rather than, background,
a reverb,
lots of background noise.
But before we get on with our review, we've got a special mention we have to do first.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's someone's birthday.
Are we getting paid?
No. We're getting paid with love.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I need some of that. I'm very cold at the moment.
Which is something that Shirley Carter couldn't do.
No, even if she was paid, she couldn't do it.
No, we've got a birthday shout-out mention for someone who's listening, I hope, right now, live, because otherwise your birthday's gone.
Be awkward, wouldn't it?
Are you 22 recently?
Who, me?
No.
It's nice of you to notice.
The person I'm asking.
All right.
And maybe their birthday was on the 7th of October.
Oh, so they haven't had it yet? So it's coming. Ooh, I wonder what they're going to do.
Have a drag bingo night.
Yes.
With Max Brannis.
Sounds like a fun plan.
No, we have got to say happy 22nd birthday to Ruben Clark, because your lovely girlfriend has asked us to give you a little shout out, because apparently you love our show.
Yeah, fool. There's better things to do in your time.
Is this true? So yeah, happy birthday. I hope you have lots of fun listening to us on your birthday,
yes,
which I assume and hope you are doing.
And this is from Lee,
his
girlfriend.
Oh, favourite character is Shirley.
Right. Well, I think that's a good, strong choice. Could have worse.
Yeah, we've had one scene of Shirley, I think, so far.
Yeah, it was the
grey episode.
The grey episode. So not really a highlight, really, but still.
There you go. So happy birthday, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Right. So we're going to start off with Ian and Kathy, and Ian the Weasel is still in force. It's been 4 weeks now, and his weasel behaviour is escalating. Yeah,
so he's desperate for money. Max has had enough. He's a very angry baked bean, and he just wants the money because he
needs the money.
Well, he needs the money because he's a bit jealous that like everyone is moving on. Jack and Denise want the house themselves so they can set up their nice little family. Little did he know that Raymond might be in that equation too, but again, more on that later. And so he's kind of gently being pushed out by Jack, almost to say, you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet by now.
Oh yeah, because Max was talking to Linda, wasn't he? And he was moaning how his life has no purpose, and I might as well just leave.
But he wants to go see Lauren. He wants to take baby Abby with him. Perhaps he wants to go see Cora. You never know.
Baby Abby can't stop talking about how much she wants to see Lauren, apparently.
Baby Abby just goes on and on and on and on. Sadly, we don't see this.
No. So yeah, he wants the money back. Ian is doing... Have you noticed that Adam Woodyat, in his Ian desperate face, he keeps like licking the inside of his gums as like part of his...
Dry mouth.
Yeah, because when he was signing the will, he was faking Kathy's signature. He did it about 4 times. And I've noticed that's like a new thing Adam Woodyat's doing, like to show Ian's desperation. Like, he is conflicted at doing this. He keeps licking his mouth all the time. I can't believe you haven't noticed it.
No. It's obviously a very subtle nuance by Adam Woodyat. I'll be honest with you, just basically, Ian Beale has just become a little cartoony for me. He's kind of squirreling away all the time. He's kind of running away from them. When he was in the cellar and Max kind of that dark foreboding light of his head came forward from the shadows.
How did Max get in the cellar?
Well, yeah, and also, like, what confused me was that later in the week, Tina and Frankie go into the cellar and they complain about how messy it looked. And, Mick would never have this. It was military, the way that everything was stacked and it was perfect and something like that. But Ian was only in that cellar. I can't get that bad in, like, what was it, a day or two? Like, over 2 days. I know they had to cater for the wedding of the century. Which
it was a big deal.
It was a huge deal, obviously. Jelly deals for everyone. But I mean, everything seemed to change very quickly around, and there was just everything kind of got. It was like they flung something at the idea wall, and they just went, "Yeah, let's do it. There's a team. Go ahead."
This week did feel like that. It was very like it felt like it had been edited like half an hour before it went to broadcast. Like everything was all over the place all week on all the episodes.
Monday and Thursday and Friday was fine, but Tuesday was a mess. We're going off the whole Ian Beale story, but to be honest with you, we've just summed it up. Ian Beale's looking for money and he signed away Kathy's
he did the nasty
money.
deed. He did that before in like the 80s,
no,
kind of.
No, he didn't. He worked at his mum's cafe, Kathy's,
to help her.
And he just used her facilities and her
discount card, her Costco.
Yeah, her Costco card to like buy things without Kathy knowing. And so he deceived her. It was a very gentle deceive.
I mean, the 30 years in between, it's been a gradual process.
Yeah, but he's...
he did go against his mother back then, and he lied to her, and he did...
Yeah, but she's lied to him too. Like
don't you dare bring up her. Don't you dare.
She was dead for a long time, and I mean, I'm the first one to painfully say, like, okay, I think we need to get over this now. Whoever keeps bringing it up to Kathy as an excuse for why they've done it, but on this occasion, I mean, especially Kathy was kind of showing off when she put the wheels on the table, and Ian said, "Oh, surely this is my one." She said, "No, I've got the money," and kind of walked off almost.
Good, I'm glad for Kath.
Yeah, but where again? How is
from the stolen necklace?
Yeah, but she spent all of her money on that stolen necklace on the club. And the club's been closed for a long time, and Kathy's been complaining that she's not had quite the full club. Hence why she asked Frankie to pull off this big
millionaire
night.
Ruby. She's lost £1 million over this. Kathy's got $250,000 and she's thriving.
Was it Stacey isn't the thief after all, and it was Kathy? Kathy was actually the thief of the money.
Yeah.
And Stacey was telling the truth. It wasn't her.
But Kathy's doing all right. Well, she was doing all right until Ian forged her name.
She's forged her signature.
Elizabeth Beale.
No, it was just KB and then a squiggle. KB Fletcher. Her money is now going into a remortgage, is it?
I think so. He signed. Maybe did he remortgage the cafe in her name?
Oh, I don't know.
So now she's gonna have a big mortgage that she finds out about, and
no, he was getting money for a mortgage so he could take money out of the house. So perhaps he was remortgaging the house so he could take money as equity.
In her name.
For it in her name, because Ian's been desperately trying to find money after after Max's constant threats, because he almost had a deal set up with the council doing party foods, and then Max ruined that for him.
He keeps barging in and shouting, doesn't he?
Exactly. How's he going to achieve... Like, Ian is right to say to him, I can't actually make money if every time I'm trying to make money, you're going to come in and scream at me every time. But now Ian thinks that Max is trying to deceive him or kind of get into the veins of the family by supporting Bobby. But Max, what seems to be a genuine concern and friendship with Bobby, is actually doing it for the greater good, because Bobby's now set up a foundation, the Lucy Bill Foundation. Can you remember what it was for? It was for
inspiring young businesswomen or something, because Lucy was like a young businesswoman, wasn't she? Because she did.
Well, she owned 2 flats and she used to rent them out to people.
Yeah, with her and Lauren. So
so Lauren's an aspiring. But see, you said Lauren should have built the website for Bobby.
I know, because Max was saying how good the website looks. Maybe Lauren helped.
Yeah,
for her old pal.
Did a Skype call, a Zoom call, Lucy. And helped him out.
Yeah, because he's got £12,000 on the charity, and Ian. Well, when Ian heard that, he suddenly cared, and I thought that was a bit of bad characterisation for Ian. I know we're going into this. Everyone must hate Ian for the whodunit, but
no, we don't know if it's a whodunit.
Well, we don't, but
we're just presuming it's a whodunit.
There's lining literally the whole bubble up to be possible.
Everyone he's crossing now. So he's crossed Kathy, he's crossed Max, he's crossed Bobby, he's crossed
Peter, Dottie,
Sharon. Yep, Sharon.
That's all the bubble. So all of them are suspects, I guess. But I thought it was a bit weird that he didn't take notice or didn't seem to care in the Lucy Bill Foundation.
Yeah, because that's his daughter, his favourite daughter.
Yeah, so I thought that was a bit like, really? That doesn't ring true to me.
Because she was always his... Well, that was a story, wasn't it, where he said that she was his favourite... She was his favourite child, and Peter heard him say that.
That's why Peter left.
And went to drugs, didn't he? And then, so it's surprising that, after all the grief and the hurt that Ian's been through, that wasn't the one thing that gave him attention from Bobby.
At least just show a bit of interest, because we know how much he loved Lucy, and there was, we've had 5 years of alleged character development, and then it was just kind of ignored just for this weird Ian whodunit.
But also, do you think Bobby was doing it just to get his dad's attention, or do you think Bobby genuinely wants to start this foundation?
I think Bobby's quite genuine, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a caring kid, isn't he? But again, is Ian going to steal money from this foundation? Is he going to Arthur Fowler it and take the Christmas money?
Probably. I mean, does he need more money? Is this mortgage enough? We don't really know the ins and outs, do we?
Well, we don't know how much the Max's share was. Also, something that I still don't really understand. He bought Max out.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense, does it? So he bought Max out. So technically
he paid Max the money. So why
weird.
Does he owe Max the money?
No,
unless Max gave up his basically he said he gave up his shares, so the money became Ian.
Oh yeah, maybe that was
maybe that's how they
and
did
then
it.
Ian did something with those shares.
But he bought the Vic. He bought the Vic.
Oh, right,
He used the money from God.
No, I know that.
That's it.
But it's
that's lockdown 101 for EastEnders.
Wouldn't he have had to sell half his share to someone to get money to buy the Vic, though?
But he didn't sell his share. He gave his share. He gave the money that Max had invested into Walford East.
Oh, right.
He gave it to Ian so that Rainie couldn't touch it. But then Rainie...
It wasn't that much money, though, because it was an originally Masood's share that he just gave to Max randomly that one day.
Yeah, because most of the investment came from an outside investor, didn't it?
I think so. Yeah, because the samosas brought in the investors, didn't they?
Oh, goodness me.
Anyway, it doesn't make sense. Everything's a mess. But we're here.
We're here to explain it to you guys when we can't explain it ourselves.
We don't know what's happening, yeah. But basically, that's the Ian and Kathy and Bobby stuff. Yeah. So they were planning wills, more foreshadowing for a near-death experience for Ian.
Well, they're just adding more characters who want to go against Ian on our presumed storyline that it's going to be a who whacked Ian around the head.
It's basically the Ken
who pushed
Barlow.
Ian down the stairs. Yeah, who pushed Ian down the stairs storyline. And do you think they're going to do that same thing as well? Like Ian pushed down the stairs by a mysterious shadow figure.
Because wasn't one of the scenes the Ken Barlow thing? Wasn't he doing something with wills? And it's all quite similar. Was it a Kate Oates story?
It's a Kate Oates story.
It was. Oh, there you go. The Kate Oates special.
Yes. I'll have 2 of them, please.
Right. So continuing on. These are kind of linked now with the Carters.
Yes, because Linda
and
Linda and Max have become best friends.
Lots of Zoom calls.
During lockdown, which we didn't see. Max is always kind of hanging around with Linda, having a few chats. Linda overheard about the Ian being in financial trouble situation.
She overhears a lot, doesn't she, Linda, in that laundrette?
Well, considering she's so observant of things, she didn't know how Kathy's name was spelled. And Bobby rightly spotted him. Well, it's in the cafe window. It's got a K. Did she just think that was like a brand name or something? If Kathy's was always spelt with a K just because it's like one big conglomerate.
I know, it's so silly. I mean, Linda's not stupid. I know that she didn't finish school or whatever, like that's her backstory, but surely she knows that Kathy's spelled with a K.
Someone she's known for, what?
6 years.
Her whole life, yeah. Kathy's whole life. Kathy's whole life. Yeah, but no, she's known Kathy for a long time. You know how to spell her name.
Exactly.
It was a bit...
Yeah, it was It was stupid.
I know, again, it was a plot device, so it meant that Bobby and Kathy had to have a chat while Linda was looking for the laundry, and then that's where it came out.
I know, but try and keep these plot devices in character. Is it that difficult, really?
Well, yes.
Apparently so. But yeah, that's where that side comes from. And then we have the Tina, Frankie, Mick situation, because Mick, like, looked on Frankie's camera like Tina did, basically, but he went back a bit further and he saw
never give Mick your mobile phone if you want to show him a photograph.
Must be a Carter trait. Tina was the same, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm. But lots and lots of pictures of Ollie on there, and also of them playing that football match. See, that was nice continuity. They weren't posed and set up photos.
Wasn't the greatest picture of Mick though. It was very unflattering. If I was Mick, I'd be like, I'll just delete that quickly, I think.
But Mick's biggest concern is why is Frankie so obsessed with them as a family? And then Mick shares his concerns with Linda, and Linda's a bit like, well, she's on her own in the square. She needs a few friends.
She's a hobby.
She needs she likes hanging around with Tina, and if it means that we make a new friend, then it's absolutely fine. Let's not worry about it. And Mick doing the cardinal sin of eating orange juice and cornflakes.
I know. Apparently they liked it during lockdown or something when they ran out of milk, because he gave it to Ollie, and now Mick likes the taste of orange juice and cornflakes.
It's an old thing.
Is it an actual old thing?
Yeah, my nan used to like it too.
No,
but I don't know why.
Oh, I thought they just made it up.
I just can't imagine it. Because cornflakes go so smushy in milk, especially warm milk. But then I suppose you wouldn't warm the orange juice. Ooh,
it just sounds disgusting.
Fancy some warm milk cornflakes now.
With orange juice.
Not with orange juice. As a side drink, yes, perhaps.
So yeah, Mick was getting worried, but he did confront her straight away, Frankie.
Yes.
And he kind of...
No more secrets.
No, until Friday.
He's getting her intertwined in the family early, you see. Because as soon as the rumoured storyline that perhaps they're related one way or another.
Which makes it all a bit weird. That's why she didn't want Tina to kiss her, probably.
Maybe.
She was like, no, you might be my aunt. Get away from me.
But she's not gay either, is Frankie, I didn't think.
Isn't she? We don't know. She's probably bi, isn't she?
Fluid.
She wears Birkenstock shoes.
Does that make you a lesbian, does it?
It makes you part of the LGBT community.
Is that the stereotype that we're going for now?
No, I think she is, because have they not mentioned it before? I'm sure they have during her interview. I don't know.
What interview?
To get the job at the Prince Albert.
Oh, right. I thought you meant like her job interview for for EastEnders. I was like, when you sat in with Kate Oates and John Sen while she was doing the audition? Yes, I want her, Frankie, and I want her storyline to be involved with Ollie.
I think she is. At least bisexual.
Oh, okay. Not that I have a problem, clearly, but...
I mean, hopefully she is, because there needs to be someone gay in the Prince Albert.
Tina is gay.
Well, her past 3 love interests have been men, so that's debatable.
She's, again, fluid.
Max is there now. He's part of the team.
Well, Peter works there. Is that a hint?
Yeah.
Is that a hint of things to come?
They're all loving it. Sharon's the only gay one there, really.
Sharon is the gayest of all icons, and I love her. And her drinking... to the point that she had to announce that an inflatable guitar was an inflatable guitar.
And it was hers.
And also then we found out from Max that he set Sharon up on the sofa with a bucket next to her. Sharon can't handle her drink anymore.
Classy bird, isn't she? Anyway, we've fast forwarded quite a lot. Basically, Frankie needs to arrange a special night to try and get a full-time job from Kathy, and profits need to be up, because Kathy's, that's why she got so much money.
Kathy, this is it. This is why she's a dragon. She knows how to make her money, but the money she has isn't enough. She wants more. So you can kind of get where Ian Beale gets his fiery businessmanship
from Pete Beale.
Hardly. He just liked the easy life, didn't he? He just liked to get up in the morning at 5 o'clock, have his orange juice and cornflakes, made for him by his wife.
Refused to sell pineapples because they're too fruity.
Yeah, they're a little bit too tropical for his liking. And and just gonna chip in at 7 o'clock in the Vic, have a few pints, come home at 11 and wake up the next morning and do it all over again.
Shame Bobby didn't do the Pete Beale Foundation.
What, for
fruit and
green
veg
grocers?
I would like that. Much better in his
What about
name.
the Lou Bill Foundation?
Oh, yeah. What would that be for? For Cockney singers?
For bringing back traditions.
Yeah.
And...
whippings. Spanking.
Yeah. Bringing back the children growing up the coal mines and cleaning out the chimney pots.
Anyway, we're not talking about Ian Bill anymore. We're talking about the Carters, aren't we? Yes.
I think so.
Because Linda had a drink. Because Mick slightly mentioned it to her in the in the flat.
We're jumping from Ollie and Mick then. That's done.
Yeah, that's just them being a bit odd. Tina tried to kiss Frankie and she was like, no.
Yeah. So Max has been comforting Linda. We don't really know why. But then I think we all kind of knew that it was always going to be... Because Max can't have a friendship with a woman unless it's going to end up with kissing. Mm-hmm. You say blonde woman. He likes brunettes.
No, he
Stacey.
doesn't. Oh, yeah. That's like the one brunette. But everyone else is blonde. Tanya. Ingrid. Did he sleep with Ingrid?
No, he did sleep with Ingrid. He slept with the woman from Bad Girls you keep going on about.
Oh, yeah. Bubbles in the fridge. What's her name? Thingy White. Vanessa White.
Yeah.
Blonde.
Denise Van Outen.
Blonde.
Oh, yeah, blonde. Yeah,
they're all blonde.
So Emma Summerhayes.
And she was mousy brown.
She was there's always an exception to a rule.
There is. So we knew this was coming. It's quite a shame because their friendship is quite nice, or was quite nice.
From the very beginning, from the moment when they had that first conversation in Ruby's, I just knew where it was heading. It was so obvious.
I know.
And I think...
But it's a shame because if they kept it as a friendship, it could have been quite nice.
I for the whole time I found it a really odd friendship. I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. Because Max is an addict, but he likes to pounce around the square thinking that he's better than everyone else. And Linda is an addict, but doesn't feel that way. She likes to be like the
Max an addict
down to
of?
earth woman.
Sex addict is Max.
Max, he's an addict to cigarettes.
To blondes.
I think the only thing he hasn't done is drugs.
Oh yeah.
He smokes, he drinks, sex.
Gambles, probably. But he mentioned his self-harming as well when he was talking to Linda, trying to make her feel...
The only thing he has control of, so he feels like that's the only way he can kind of muster through life, and so he kind of understood when Linda took a swig of his drink. But, yeah, I mean, fine, if he was going to be comforting to Linda, absolutely not a problem at all. But
we all know really why he did it, don't we?
He only did it because he wanted to kiss Linda. Come on, let's be honest here. Because he flirted with Linda. Remember also, he flirted with Linda on New Year's Eve, or it was New Year's Day, when Linda got really badly drunk.
And she stayed on his sofa and stuff.
No, he didn't stay on her.
She spent a night at his once, didn't she? But she stayed on the sofa. Didn't he try to do
No, he tried to do it at Ruby's because he was trying to make Ruby jealous.
Oh, yes.
So she was really drunk, and he tried it with Linda. He tried it with Linda already at Ruby's, trying to make Ruby jealous. So he always had intentions to do something with it. He's just
horrible.
Yeah, Max is just one tone for me, and his story is always the same story, which is he likes a woman,
a married woman, preferably.
Yeah, woman married, bang woman on head, get in bed. It's just this is why I'm not upset that Max Branning is leaving, and this is why I said Max Branning has nothing else to do anymore.
No,
there's nothing obvious for him on the soap.
This was I was half expecting a big revelation when he was on the balcony, and he was like, "I've got something I need to tell you." And I thought, "Ooh, are we getting a little bit of a hint of a story here?" But no, it was just a joke about bingo, and I was like, "Oh, that could have been quite a good moment to do something secretive then."
Yeah, but why has he got to? The only thing
I was excited about storyline.
yeah. He killed Steve.
Or something like that. But
Stephen B.
No, he didn't admit that. They did a kiss though. How about the filming techniques of that?
I don't know. I was just angry that they did it. The filming techniques was probably better than that of Karen and Mitch. Karen and Mitch looked like two floating heads floating toward each other.
Moving towards you like clip art.
It looked like an old Microsoft screensaver. But
I think they used Kelly Bright's real life husband for the close-up kiss. So that's how they did that. But she was
that's
quite
not flattering for him, is it? He looks like Max Branning.
A real close-up. But she was very shook, and she just ran, she galloped down the stairs and ran away and didn't know what to do. So she does feel guilty, but she did kiss him back. So what is this actually leading to a affair? Or are they just building this up because of the Mick story to make Mick more vulnerable?
What, so he feels more like he can't, with Frankie does reveal a secret, he can't open up to Linda about how he feels about it, and then moving on to his panic attacks would be even worse again, because they did his panic attacks, didn't they, when Linda had the alcoholism problem. So presumably they're going to do the same again with, Linda holding back a secret about her and Max kissing. Yeah.
Sounds contrived, so...
Why not? Yeah, let's do it again.
I mean, maybe Mick will make Max leave the square for good.
Oh yeah, well,
his exit will be don't you come back to the square ever again.
Yeah, I didn't genuinely think of it that way. I've always just related Max's leaving storyline to Ian, but yeah, that could be it could be a Carter.
Yeah, because Mick and Ian are quite good friends, aren't they? They kind of forget about that, but maybe they'll...
Well, Mick covered for Ian when he saw a prostitute.
Yeah, so maybe Ian will find out and tell Mick, and that will get rid of Max. That's one of the Ian Bill ways.
I'll be happy with that.
Like how Ian got rid of Tricky Dicky.
Yes, by sending a letter to his former councillor.
Maybe he'll say to Max, I'll tell Mick. Don't want to get on the wrong side of Mick. Leave the square forever. So maybe that will happen. Right, next up, we had minimal aftermath of Chantel.
Well, there was, to be fair, it was nothing to do with Chantel.
No, it was more about Billy and Ian.
No, it was all about Billy and Mitch.
Yeah.
Or more specifically, Mitch. And Mitch basically... Basically, Gray says to Mitch this week, like, you've never cared about Chantel at all. It's always been about gestures for you. And it's proven because you've basically turned Chantel's death into another excuse or reason to get together with Karen. Which he's entirely right.
I know.
So why am I agreeing? Why am I agreeing with a domestic abuser and a killer over Mitch? This is how I'm so angry at Mitch.
I know, because like 2 weeks ago, Mitch was going up in my estimation, bit by bit.
I was really enjoying Mitch. Yeah. I liked the fact that he had those moments with Chantel. The moment, I mean, perhaps he was being carried by Chantel's like goodbye story, and saying goodbye to her mum.
But he outdid himself now because his daughter's just died. Literally died a week ago in this time.
His daughter just died. Karen's not coping with it very well. Billy asks Mitch for help, knowing that Mitch and him have quite a tricky relationship.
Billy was quite nice to him, wasn't he?
He said the only person Karen can open up with isn't me, it's you, Mitch, and because you and Chantel is your daughter with Karen. So why don't you go visit Karen? Why are you avoiding her?
He thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, and so he saw it as a get.
Put some aftershave on.
Yeah, exactly. And so he walks in, and no sooner has he said like, "Oh, I miss Chantel," he's kissing Karen, and now Karen is not only full of grief with Chantel, rightly so, but she's now full of grief because she's got to lie to Billy about the kiss with Mitch. So Mitch has turned Chantel's death about him, which he did his whole life with Chantel when she was alive. So
all the scenes afterwards as well, it's not been about Chantel. Like, we finally saw Gray. We've not really seen how Gray feels about killing Chantel. But like, the first scenes that we get is about a love triangle between Mitch, Billy and Karen. But it's like, no, I don't care. No one cares about that. That was before lockdown. Chantel's just died. I'd rather invest more into how that's affecting people.
I want to see the torment in Gray's life at the moment. How is he coping? From the glimpses you see of Gray, it doesn't look like he's coping very well.
He's not done his hair.
Well, yeah, but again, is it all an act? Is it all a kind of a smoke screen, or is he genuinely feeling absolute guilt for doing what he did to Chantel?
We don't know.
Seeing it in his eyes as the ultimate justice, but yes, we don't know.
No, this is stuff we should know. This is stuff we should see.
This is stuff we should be watching and investigating. And whenever I see a scene with Karat, I instantly think, right, we're going to get some action here. We're going to get some information. But now he's kind of been pushed to one side too. I just want to see Karen, Gray, and Karat.
Bernie, Keegan.
Well, and
we've not seen them.
I don't know, how are they grieving? How are they coping with all this?
Bernie's just hugging a teddy bear. And Keegan's sat on his bed.
Yeah.
Like, Tiffany, we've not seen. Like, is this helping Keegan and Tiffany's relationship? Is this bringing more between them?
Yeah, is this another
Does Keanu know?
Yeah, has anyone let Keanu
Does Bailey know? Bailey's aunt?
They have mentioned that Bailey is aware of it because they said that this is another figure, a motherly-like figure that's died in Bailey's life. So they made that indication. But they don't... I mean, I understand, like, we're in a very tricky situation at the moment where filming has to be done in bubbles. So only one set of bubbles can like do a scene about a certain story, but that doesn't mean that you can create a Bernie, Keegan and Tiff bubble and then they could have like scenes together where they're talking
their
about...
bubble's literally non-existent. They're not on it.
For example, remember when Shaquille died, they did a memorial to him where they all got drunk at the time, I think it was E20, and they played Spin the Bottle, and this is when we first learned about the development of Bernie fancying Tiff. But there was a scene where they all talked about their feelings and emotions, so we understood how they were feeling. Keegan felt guilt. He felt like he was the one to blame. It was all his fault. Bernie felt, like she didn't feel safe in the place where she lived anymore.
Bex was upset.
She was writing songs on her guitar.
Louise fancied a bit of Hunter, didn't care about Shaquille. Standard.
Exactly, but at least we had a character development.
At least we knew.
Here. But like, we're not learning anyone's emotions about Chantal, and this is why I'm so angry that they're just turning it into Mitch's story. Stop. No.
And it, like, the day before, like, Karen, no, not even the day, it was the same episode. Karen was like upset, she was washing dishes, she was crying on the floor, all the things around her. And then, like, 2 scenes later, Sharon was like, oh yeah, I've popped Albie with Karen, she's babysitting. It's like, what? Why did they not show us that exchange?
Well, exactly, because Sharon's just lost a child too.
I'm sad to hear about Chantal. Here's Albie, bye. I'm getting drunk.
I'm going to get pissed with an electric guitar.
Yeah, it's like, oh, for God's sake. Like, that could have been a good moment, because Karen and Sharon have, like, this...
They have a lot that they're sharing at the moment. They're sharing a grandchild and a child for Sharon.
Both lost a child.
They both have lost Keanu, technically. They've both lost a child recently. So it's an open goal there, an opportunity for the writers to have some kind of development for learning how Karen is coping. Not that she's looking at photos on the ground of Chantal trying to find one to show for the funeral booklet.
And the next minute babysitting Albie.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't feel like Chantal's dead. It feels like she's like Keanu. She's just popped off and she's just not here. It's really odd. Like, I feel no emotion about her being dead when I should do, and it's really odd. Like, I can't put my finger on it, but when I'm watching it, it doesn't feel like Mitch has like, Chantal's literally died. Like, his daughter's died, but he's busy investigating her murder and trying to catch a killer. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, like with Grey, and it's like, no, it's...
Yeah, why is he not mourning? Why is he not grieving?
Really weird. It just doesn't feel real at all.
Let the investigation part, for me, should have been with Corette, and I feel like the story naturally should have been that he told Karen rejected it, and then you see Corette kind of grieving in his own way, that he felt like he could have helped Chantal, but he didn't. I mean, I don't know why. They've had 2 weeks ago since the story obviously happened with Chantal's death. Why are we not getting... We're having more scenes about Callum and Ben and Phil and their relationship and gangsters than we are with the aftermath of Chantal. And I don't get it. No. Why is this happening?
Because when this happened before with Denny and people were moaning that, oh, Sharon's not... Why is Sharon getting one scene? Remember she had like one scene a week for like 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And John Sen put on Twitter... Well, it's the scheduling of soaps. I'd like to show you how it works sometimes, but it's difficult. And it's like, okay, Tish Dean, she was working quite a lot up to it. But Mitch, the Taylors haven't been working much. It was Jessica Plummer was doing all the work up to it. Now that she's not on the show, there's no excuse.
There is no excuse.
That the actors aren't free to now do Aftermath.
They're all working. They're jobbing actors. And I mean, okay, I understand Letitia Dean is a much more long stay, so perhaps her contract is different, so she doesn't do. Yeah,
but she was doing loads of scenes before. Like, she had the pregnancy, the affair, everything. Bernie, Keegan, Tiff, Karen, Mitch. Yeah, they weren't. They've got plenty of time to film these things.
I don't get why they're doing it. Are clashing with any other work project at the moment, because obviously, look at the show EastEnders. The TV production is losing money hand over fist, and they need to. The actors want to work, so give them. There just doesn't seem to be a logical explanation other than for me that they're just pandering to an audience who they feel want to see Ben, Callum, and Phil storylines.
They've been in every episode, apart from one episode they haven't been in. Sonia, not yet.
Sonia's disappeared, nursing somewhere. Yeah. But it's just, I want to see character-driven stories, and Chantal's death is something that was such an opportunity, because you could have learnt a character more about Grey and his story and his background, and why. I'm just repeating myself, and I'm not going to go on about it anymore.
But it's just frustrating because it could so easily have been like so much better, like quite easily. But instead, we're now getting the Mitch and Karen love story, and it's like no one wants.
Why have you ruined?
We hated it the week before the show finished when they had that week of the love triangle
with the practical jokes on Billy, and it was like, ha ha ha, you're going to become a tailor now.
And it's like the quote when the show came back, and the producer was like, oh yeah, we don't want anything to change, we want to come back. That's why we took a break, so we could film things. We wanted things to be exactly how we planned it anyway. So it's like, so this was how it would have been, even if it wasn't COVID or social distancing. This is probably what the show would have been anyway. So it's like, oh.
But I just don't.
Shame.
For me, it doesn't make sense why they're not doing more story about, because they're starting new stories. Why are they starting new stories. With the Max and Linda story, Linda's alcoholism coming back, the Raymond story, these all Frankie story. These are all stories that could have just been kind of pulled back a little bit so that we could have... I would happily have had a week of Aftermath where almost everything we saw on screen was Gray, Karen and Mitch and the Taylors, and we saw the fallout of it. And they just had 4 episodes of the fallout of it. Then maybe have a break, and then the funerals, which will be now this week. That would have suited me fine.
Or even like showing everyone's reaction, like in the old days, we would have like had Pauline's reaction to hearing about someone's death or something, and that would have like stemmed the storyline from Michelle, like thinking, "Oh, this has happened to Chantal. I should do this." It would have stemmed other links from other storylines, but it's not really like. Does Lola care? Lola worked with Chantal. Denise said she was upset one day, but then the next day that was it.
Well, she's again in this week's episode. She said because Mitch was sleeping in the salon and she was spraying it because it smelled.
He farted.
Yeah, because he had a bad kebab. And she said to Cherie that I should understand really, because obviously I understand losing a child, because technically she had lost Raymond in the same way. I'm just so angry at the whole. I hate that everyone makes such an emphasis on the fact that like this is a very impactful, this is a very important, very issue-based storyline. So we have to make our time and we have to be very careful of what we've done. And it's and they did with the episode, in my opinion, on the Friday episode. That's what I'm saying, on the one episode. And now they're taking no care of it. It's like they're bored of it now. They've done it now. They've done. That's another check on their list.
Well, if you rewind the podcast 2 weeks back, I did say that then and there. But they make it so awards season they can put that episode in for the award. But
I don't like that they're doing everything. Every storyline now for me seems like a check mark for them. It's like, domestic abuse, done that now.
Hearing,
deafness.
Ben can now hear music from inside a car from the other side of the road.
Yeah,
I know it's just really poor.
There's rumours they're doing a male suicide storyline. Tick, they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Every issue out there. Tick, 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 tick. They're ticking all the boxes. It's like you don't need to do that.
I do wonder, like, because John Sen used to be in charge of like Holby Casualty. They were more like they quite often do issue-led storylines on Casualty and Holby, but they're like an hour-long drama.
They're like a drama, serial
and then,
drama.
Next week, like there's something else. Is that why EastEnders has been a bit like that now? Like, he's not treating it like a soap?
Well, each week is an issue, is a story.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, that's done. Let's go to the next story. Like, that's what Casualty and Holby tend to do, and I've seen it. And I am wondering, is that why there's an issue here? Is that like because in his mind he's producing this? Right, that's this story, that's that arc done. Right, let's go on to the next arc now.
Maybe.
Like the Ben hearing thing, like he had his implant and then that's it. Like, is that what we're doing? And like I know the Ruby's rape wasn't with John Sen, but the aftermath and finishing of it was. And that was a bit like, okay, that's done. Let's move on to the next one. And each one ends with a special episode, like Linda's drinking New Year's Eve special episode. Like, is that why there's this weird? It's not like a soap. He's more doing like an episodic. He's in the head of like an episodic drama, and that's why this feels really like soap. You're meant to continue with these characters and continue with what's happened to them.
Well, have stories that like are just Dark bumbling along the whole time.
Yeah, Dark Martin, that ended. He's not Dark Martin anymore. It feels a bit Holby and Casualty.
The only thing I would say about Martin is you will never see Martin in the same way now. Like, Martin can never be this cheeky chappy anymore.
I know, but that doesn't stop the writers thinking that.
That's true, but for me, they've ruined Martin's character a little bit by doing that. But then I suppose it needed new direction and they took it, so fine. That's fine. But it's just, they don't... Like, there should be all kinds of stories happening in EastEnders, as you say. There should be a long-term story, there should be medium-term stories, and there should be short-term stories. And they should all be plopping around all over the place.
But it just leads to we've got a special episode, and then that special episode is the end of the story.
And another thing that I got a bit... again, it's not their fault. I understand that COVID-19 got in the way of filming processes, but they made such a point of saying, this... domestic violence storyline has been going on for almost over 18
months.
18 months. And it's like, well, yes, but let's put together every single episode.
There's 4-week gaps in between each one, wasn't there?
And even then there was like just a reference to it for like 10 minutes in one episode in a week. I'd love to put together all the episodes where the Chantal and Gray story was happening, and I think together, if you put it together, it made up about 5 total episodes. But that obviously doesn't include the final week. But like, I just there's no kind of
there's no build up to it, and there's no aftermath to it.
There's too much dependence on certain characters. That's all I'm saying, and I think we should move on because we're reiterating our point.
It's all going.
But we're reiterating the same point again and again and again.
We've got a new storyline which we enjoy, so let's talk about that. Denise,
yes,
and Ellie and Phil and Jack.
I love Ellie.
You do?
May I just put
she's
that
had 2
out there
lines.
straight away?
You like her already?
She's had more than 2 lines.
Sorry, 3 lines.
No, you can just tell she's a character that you are going to enjoy watching on screen, and I think very cold, and I think Mika.
Mika Paris, isn't it?
Yes, I think Mika Paris has shown no nerves, no kind of trepidation of just joining this soap. I don't suppose it's got the same kind of gravitas at the moment that it used to have, but
in the hospital hallway.
But you know what I mean? It's like she's kind of gone into the role and she's rolling with it. And she's obviously been told the kind of character she needs to be. She obviously knows where the story is going to. They might have a long-term plan with this one. Let's hope they do.
Doubt it.
Well, let's hope that we don't hear about Raymond now for the next month and then hear like one snippet. But Phil's involved.
Well, yeah,
so,
I was just about to say that. Like, we had
likely we're going to get a lot of it.
Yeah, we had a week of like, Denise storyline, and now, no, Phil's here. He's going to take over. Oh, and by the way, Ben's also involved, and it's like, for God's sake.
Yeah, because Phil's now saying that it's his brother, so now Ben's involved. So
annoying.
Important. And Callum's involved too, because he was there to witness the accident at the beginning.
Yeah, and he's blurted it to Denise by accident, and now Phil by accident.
Yeah, because
Callum
was talking about his counselling, wasn't he? But so I really love this way. I love the idea of the story. Actually, I don't like the idea of there being some kind of custody battle, but I do like the idea of trying to figure out what they should. It sounds awful. This sounds a bit cold. It sounds like something Ellie would say, but what they should do with Raymond now. I love hearing the news. And spoiler alert, if anyone's not heard, it's a skip 20 seconds. But I love hearing the news that Lucas is coming back too. So I think that could perhaps have some kind of potential hand to it as well.
Is he involved with Ellie, or is it going to be completely separate? Is Denise going to get 2 storylines to front? Who knows? But I mean, we know so little about Ellie that I can't pass judgment yet. Or I do worry that it's another character with a shelf life. Like, if she's really evil, is she got a shelf life like Grey did? Like, Grey's obviously got a shelf life because he's an evil character.
I don't know how evil Mika is going to be.
Well, she said
Ellie's going to be.
Yeah, she said, the actress, she said she's the most evil character EastEnders has ever seen. But I think a lot of people say
but they also said when Habiba...
They said that about Jags.
Well, when the Habiba and Ikra was introduced, they said they're going to be causing all kinds of trouble on the square, and I'm yet to see that trouble.
On their first week, Habiba put her hair in the food in the Vic to support the Slaters.
All right. My flag is waving and it's white.
No, I know. But she has said that she's the most evil character ever to be on EastEnders. So
yeah, but they say things because they want to build up an interest in an audience.
Good luck.
Yeah, they piqued me.
But no, Phil has now found out about Raymond thanks to our Callum.
Yeah.
So he's now he cried when he saw Raymond in the hospital. He wanted to confirm that it was Raymond before he told Denise. Yeah. And it's funny that he went to tell Denise I found our kid, and she was like, I already know.
I know, a genuinely nice thing by Phil there. He wanted Denise to know that their son had been in an accident, but he was okay. And I've got a feeling that if Denise hadn't been so kind of like, I already knew this anyway, plus I don't want you to have anything to do with him. I wonder if Phil would have pursued the idea of having, taking custody. If he thought,
I'll just let Denise know, and then we'll just go back to our lives. Because she poked him, he was like, family. The family button was pressed.
Yeah.
Which again was a bit odd writing, like when Phil said to Ben, he's family. I'm not going to let anyone get away with my family. It's like, this is like a 3-year-old toddler. Like, he has these great plans of bringing his son, Mitchell, back into the legacy, but it's a toddler, Phil. Are you going to cope? There's no Sharon around, no Kathy around. Who's going to be doing the babysitting? Callum going to be regulated to the doormat?
You don't think that Callum and Ben are going to adopt Raymond?
Rewind the podcast 1 week. I said that last week.
Did you?
I did. I said, could you imagine, as a joke, like, to get them involved in the storyline? But
I must have said no at the time, but now it's considerably going into favour.
No, that surely couldn't happen. But like, because Raymond...
Can't it? It's Callum and Ben.
But because Raymond's adopted, I don't think Phil and Denise have any rights anyway.
Well, Denise
Like,
gave up her
technically.
rights by giving, because the adoption. Remember when Sonia had to sign away Bex?
Bex. Yeah, but she wasn't Bex. Was she adopted or was she fostered at the time?
No, she was adopted,
She
and then
was,
her
and
parents
they died in a car crash.
She died in a car crash,
Right.
and so then she got custody. So I suppose the contract maybe becomes non and void. I don't know. It depends on who Raymond's next of kin would officially
Ellie.
be. Ellie, it must be Ellie. So I suppose it comes down on the shoulders of whether Ellie would be happy for Raymond to be.
Yeah, because again, Ellie doesn't seem too distraught that half her family have like just tragically died in a car crash. So I don't know if that's like.
Can you imagine if they found out Ellie was the one who caused the car crash?
Was she like? She might have been, or is Lucas involved? Like, I don't know. There's lots of things we don't really know anything, and they're not giving us any info on Ellie. It's a bit like when Gray at the beginning, you didn't know he was. Like, we're getting so little information, it could be anything.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? That's why they want to keep the character to be mysterious.
So maybe Ellie planned to kill her son and daughter-in-law, but the daughter died as well, didn't she? There was Raymond's adoptive sister, so
she's just a very hard-shelled woman, and she's just able to cope with big shocks like that. Some people are. Perhaps.
Hopefully, it's not the actress like limitations. I don't know
No, I don't know. Actually,
I've never seen her in anything before.
I haven't either. But actually, I'm hoping it is just that she's just very, very stony-faced, very hard woman.
Because Phil was a bit standoffy around her as well when he saw her that brief second. So maybe she just has this air.
Perhaps.
Maybe her name is known and Phil knows her. Is she a gangster? No, she can't be a gangster. Her son was a vicar.
That means nothing. That really means nothing.
But Phil wants to get Raymond and Denise.
Denise wants to stop it, and she asks Jack to kind of convince Phil to stop it. Jack then brings up that, remember that time you kidnapped me and beat me almost to death? Yeah, that's something I'm going to bring up to the police if you could pursue this. But Phil doesn't care. Phil said, like, family's the only thing that matters.
He was like, that was a month ago. They won't care.
Yeah.
Like, I think they will, Phil.
But also, considering that Phil is trying to stop the police getting information about him by a mole that Richie had warned Phil about, Jack is openly saying to Phil, I'm going to pass on information about something you did to me, and perhaps more information that I know of. And Phil's like, I don't care. I'll just get away. And again, Phil had the audacity of accusing Jack of being a grass.
Oh, yeah. To a policeman.
To a police officer who needs to be honest with which Jack says to him, no, I'm a metropolitan police officer, blah, blah, blah. But Phil is a grass. So
Isaac.
It's to Isaac. And he got some home truths with Denise as well.
That was
this
good,
week.
that scene.
That was excellent. And I was really on Denise's side there as well.
I mean, I'm 100% behind Denise.
Oh, 100%.
Phil can just, no.
I want Denise to have Raymond, to be honest with you.
With Jack, just so he can rub it in Phil's face. He's got another Mitchell kid on his list now. That's Amy, Ricky and Raymond now. He's taken all the Mitchell kids in for himself.
He's like a Mitchell nanny. He really is a Mitchell nanny, our old Jack.
He'll have Albie in a year's or time, won't
He probably will.
Right,
that's not a Mitchell.
Or is it?
That's a Taylor.
Yeah, just you wait. They'll be rewriting that as we speak. Right, so we had a real short story with Jags, our lovely Jags, whose time is ending soon.
Yes. So
I think next week may be it.
Is it that soon?
I think so. Hope so. We can hope.
There's an interview with the actress who played Suki,
but not Jags. About Jags' exit.
His own exit, and she apparently hinted that it's going to be a bit of a demise for Jags. But my understanding is that he's been told that the door will always be open, and that he can return at any time. Said with a bit of a bit lip, I think.
Yeah, heard that before. I can't remember what happened with him. Him and Habiba were doing like coffee or something.
He had to get the rents from all the properties that the family own.
The Slaters. They pay their rent?
Must do at some point. And Jags has seen the state of some of these properties and said, you know, no one would live in these wreck holes. These hellholes.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Fair. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah. This is a past cry of the Jags of old that danced to Atomic
kidnapped
Kitten
Lola.
and kidnapped Lola. Yeah, the old days when they had Sky Television in the middle of a warehouse. These are the days.
But collecting rent, he draws a line at that.
Yeah. Because he's a child coughed in front of him, and that child was very unwell.
Suki didn't care. I got her back up. She was like, "Get my rent."
Well, Habiba was like, "What would Gandhi do?" That was Bieber's advice. And she said that he looked sexy. He thought that was an in. She said, no, calm down. Put it away, Jags.
Not yet. Give it a week.
Yeah, Jags said, Mum, I don't want to do it anymore. Suki put his food in the bin. The only way you can communicate with Jags is food deprivation. And
Jags has been on this one story arc planned since the beginning. This is the story arc, his food.
Yeah, this is his build. From beginning to end, this was always planned.
See, it does make sense now, because we have always mentioned him eating food, and they've been, you know how they like doing their subtle hints, like the dishwasher with Chantel, and Dennis dying with Denny's life. We missed it. The subtle hints, his whole story arc was him eating crisps. The way to get to Jags is to throw his dinner away, and that's his arc completed.
Yeah, and now he doesn't want to be living with them.
That's
anymore.
why he has to leave the show, because his character's finished.
That's his character ended with. That was the whole premise of the reason why they introduced Jags. He was a man who wanted food.
See,
we had it taken away from him.
We were there laughing, saying they were lying about him having this one story arc.
How naive were we? This
is what it was. It was planted the whole time.
We're just minions to the EastEnders cogs, the machine that is the BBC.
So Suki threw the food away, and that really
perfectly good food. May I add?
Kurik could have had that. Maybe he's a hungry boy.
Don't know where he is, but it made me a bit angry. Even Ash said, "Mum, stop that! Don't do that to Jags."
Ikra could have had that. You didn't invite her.
yeah. Perhaps you can invite my girlfriend round one day.
So yeah, that obviously hit home to Jags that this is serious now.
He's cashing his chip in, but not a potato chip.
No,
a casino chip.
Well, Grace threw that in the bin, didn't he? Chantel threw it in the bin on the night. So I don't know where that chip's gone.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot that happened.
He'll probably find it in the bin. He'll probably look through the bin
rummaging for the food
for his dinner and be like, "Oh, the chip."
The chip.
And Habiba will be like, "Oh, money, let's go together." And they'll get a convertible car and drive off, and they'll have a happy ending.
Do you think Habiba's going to leave with him?
What, a secret exit? I do. The actress is on holiday at the moment. She keeps posting new photo shoots all the time. So I'm wondering if they've kept it secret, but she's gonna last minute decide to leave with Jags, and they're gonna go off together.
You say last minute, but the writing crew of EastEnders have had this planned for a year.
Well, when they introduced Habiba,
they always
2 years ago,
they always knew that Jags was going to be.
When they said the two sisters are arriving in Walford, they're going to cause trouble for the Masouds. This is what they meant. She's going to leave and break up the Panasars.
Yep. That was always the plan. Always the way to go.
And Ikra was always meant to be a secret lesbian, by the way.
Oh, right. What, with Ash?
That wasn't changed last minute when she was having her arranged marriage. Not at all. Right, last up, we've saved it best till last because the royal wedding of the century happened.
Yeah.
Better than Pat and Frank's wedding from the 80s. Better than Nigel and Deb's wedding. No. Better than Ian and Mel's wedding on the millennium.
Yeah,
with Kathy coming back.
Instant divorce.
Better than Michelle and Lofty.
Yep. Better than Mark and
Jill and Ruth.
Mark and Jill's. Ruth's was a bit of a letdown for me.
Better than when Shirley shot Phil on him and Sharon's wedding. Yeah. This was the wedding.
This was the wedding. The wedding of 2020. There's not many happy things that have happened in 2020.
No.
But my goodness, this wedding, it was right up there.
Lola was involved. Jay was involved. All the A-list cast were out for it.
Yeah.
They really went in the bowl rolling. Danny Hardcastle was involved.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. There was a dodgy looking device with a blinking red light that clearly wouldn't be spotted when all the lights were switched off in the garage.
That's what I thought when Callum put that to bug the archers to find information on Phil. Like, it says bright red. Like, if the lights are off, Phil's going to see that.
It's a flashing red light.
He would go, "Hey, what's that?"
What's that down to the desk?
He'll probably think it's a mobile phone though. Although he's quite savvy with his iPad, wasn't he?
How funny you should mention that.
His little flip of the case.
He flicked it like a proper, you know that someone is over the age of 55. Yeah. You know if someone's over the age of 55 because they always have an iPad nearby.
And a case that folds over the top of the iPad.
And a
magnetic clip.
Yeah, and a little pencil with a rubber end so they can tap the screen so they don't get their fingers dirty.
Yeah, so Callum was bugging it. This is during the wedding. He didn't make it to the wedding, actually, unfortunately.
Well, no, he did. He did make it to the wedding, but he was late because Ben had to get a registrar to come to them.
Yeah, because he was stuck in a car.
Because Stuart was stuck in the only car in the fleet of the funeral directors that has a dodgy battery.
Yeah.
Dodgy electronics, sorry. And so while Stuart was listening to Phil Collins with Ben outside, he got himself locked inside the car with the window wound up.
I mean, we could go into quite detail of how that doesn't make any sense. Like, the radio was working and but the door wouldn't open. There's lots of things, but we're not going to go there.
The radio went, no.
Oh, did it?
And then
it signified it.
And then Jay went to get a jump lead to re-jump, and then he said the battery's dead. Oh. And because the car is an automatic electric lock, that's why Stuart was locked inside the car.
I see.
There you go.
Planned out from
Yeah, that was always planned a year ago. They had it all planned.
It was planned when Stuart was doing his pedophile hunting in that car.
Yeah.
There were hints laid.
They knew 3 years ago, 3 years' time, they were going to do a wedding storyline with Rainie, where he got locked inside the car and Rainie got married anyway.
Do you remember 10 years ago when they introduced Rainie?
Yes.
And she said she could never have children?
They knew.
That was planned.
They planned that in 2020, Rainie was going to have a miracle child.
Right, let's stop milking that joke now. It's not funny anymore.
No.
Where were we? Callum was having his situation with Phil and Danny Hardcastle because he caught him.
He's busy trying to get evidence on Phil because he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, he's exactly, a rock and a hard
Feeling
place.
Ben.
Phil thinks, well, if Callum is on Phil's... Callum is showing that he's on Phil's side by having this bizarre moment of wanting to beat up Danny Hardcastle, which...
Hit him on the back of the head with a lead pipe.
Yeah... Then just carried on pummeling him.
Yeah, well, he looked at Phil and Phil nodded, giving him a
No, he whacked him around the back of the head with the lead pipe.
Yeah, just once.
Then he looked at Phil. Phil kind of went, carry on.
Yeah, and he said, okay, Phil, I work for you.
But did you see Phil's eyes light up as well when he was watching the violent unfold in front of him?
I think Ben should watch out. Phil might have a little thing for Callum. He can turn anyone.
Fair enough. But, yeah, and so then Callum...
Beats him up, like quite excessively.
The man who...
Who hated Ben for doing anything bad.
Abuse, yeah. Is now doing it to try to garner favour with Phil. Misses the wedding doesn't miss the wedding, but misses most of the wedding, or the build up of the wedding with his brother's wedding. It just
and knows he's being recorded because of the tracker. So, like, does the policeman know that Callum beat?
Yeah, they're just going to let him off. But the police are then saying to Callum, you hated doing those horrible jobs of going to see the clean-up of a car accident, or you hate doing those.
You talk to everyone about it around the minute mark.
Yeah, everyone knows about it. Clearly, you don't like doing those jobs. So if you do this job for me with Phil, then.
Promotion,
then you won't have to do these horrible little jobs anymore. Surely the trauma of beating someone up, no matter what Danny Hardcastle is, he was innocent in that situation, let's be honest. Like, okay, he's an evil person, blah blah blah, but in that situation
that's quite muddled as well, isn't it?
Like, the whole of Tuesday was a mess, an absolute mess.
Because, like, the way that Danny, like, just casually knocks on the door to talk to Phil, like, at the Archers, it's like, you had a gun at him, like, a few weeks ago, and then he, like, gets upset saying, like, oh, I've been done for this heist. And it's like, well, you were literally there there was like a dead body in that bar, wasn't there? There's like a dead person on the floor. It's like, what's happening? They're like, Danny and Phil talking like they're old friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, but every time they see each other, they try to kill each other. It's really weird. But now they're acting like, oh no, trust me, don't trust Callum. He's
Danny
bad.
Hardcastle caught Callum taking photographs of some invoices. This was probably for some tyres or something like that. Callum's like, well, that'd be useful for my evidence case.
Callum thinks that he's being clever. He's probably going to get Ben in trouble. They're probably dodgy things that Ben's done.
Yeah, and so Danny says to Phil, you need to keep an eye out on Callum because he's going against you, which he's right about. Mm-hmm. Callum whacks him around the back of the head with a lead piping. Phil's like, go ahead, I'm a bit turned on. Smacks him about, turns up at the wedding. Then Ben sees that now Ben, it's like a complete different character.
Yeah,
Ben
Ben's
is
now Callum.
What Callum used to be, and sees that Callum is becoming this bad person because he saw blood on the cuffs of his shirt.
Wants him to go straight.
Yeah, and now Ben's really confused. But then the very next episode, Callum's talking about his therapy because he saw someone in an accident. You beat someone up.
Yeah, it doesn't affect Callum.
No, but Callum's fine by that. Callum's fine by the deceit of his own boyfriend and his family and beating someone up.
And also, I know I don't ever wish for more Danny Hardcastle scenes, but what happened to Danny Hardcastle? Like, what happened after that?
Well, that was always his story.
Like, did he just get up and go? Like, every time something happens to Danny Hardcastle, like, he gets arrested during the heist.
Yeah.
Next time we see him, they're trying to arrest Ben for the heist.
Danny Hardcastle seems to just pop in to say hello. Something happens to him, and then he disappears.
Yeah, and then comes back in a week pretending they're like friends.
Yeah.
It's very Very odd situation.
Because that's what's going to happen next. And you know that's what's going to happen next. Phil is going to set up some kind of thing with Danny Hardcastle. Even though they've agreed never to work with each other again. Even though they have this relationship where Phil ends up getting Danny Hardcastle shot or arrested or beaten up.
Or Danny Hardcastle tries to kill Ben and loses his hearing.
Yes, exactly. All these things have happened. But they're going to set something up. And then Callum's going to pass it on to the police that this thing's been set up. And Ben's going to somehow get involved. But Callum didn't know about it until the very last minute. So then Ben was the one who's going to end up getting arrested, and Callum's going to feel really guilty about it.
Although Danny Hardcastle was threatening Stuart and Ben. Stuart was locked in a hearse.
Didn't Danny say something about Ben? So that's the reason
made
why
Callum
angry got angry.
Eyes. He had really angry eyes, didn't he? But he said something. He said, "I'll kill Ben or I'll kill Stuart, your brother," and that's when he whacked him around the head.
All right.
But we know how this show loves our foreshadowing. At that same time, Stuart was locked in a hearse.
Right.
Rainie announced some good news about a baby.
So you think Stuart's gone?
Well, is he going to be killed off by Danny Hardcastle?
There is a car accident coming.
Is there?
That's what I thought there was.
No, the car accident was Raymond's mum and dad. The two characters killing. That was that.
Okay, sorry, ignore me.
That was the
I'm so
headline.
confused by the whole thing.
But
Oh right, so you reckon that Stuart's so the threat, Danny's threat, is going to come into
because the next episode didn't Callum say to Ben, "Oh, it just goes to show you've got to cherish the people around you while you can." Like he keeps saying stuff like that, doesn't he?
Well, that's after his therapy.
Yeah, but is Ben or Stuart going to die? It's not going to be Ben.
It won't be Ben.
So Stuart.
It obviously won't be Ben. It'd be a shame if Stuart dies.
Yeah, but Rainie's happy. Stuart's happy. Can't last for long.
I worry that Rainie as a single mother is going to be really bad.
Plus, I think Tanya Franks will she's never been on the show full time before, so I'm
but I've always said that's a shame.
It is, but I'm wondering if the actress will be like, okay, well, this is my time to go again, which will be a shame.
I'll clock my time card out for another.
I mean, we were talking about the best wedding ever. We've not actually talked about the wedding. They got over social distancing restrictions by him being in the car and her outside the car,
which is fine, which is good.
And they kissed the window, and then they were married. And then that's when she said, "I'm pregnant," and it was all happy and joyous.
Until we realised that the whole reason Rainie had the whole storyline with Max and baby Abby is because she can't have children.
I know, and they mentioned it quite recently. She had quite a few big scenes, didn't she, where she was saying how she'd always wanted to be a mum, but she knows she never can. And, I think it's nice, it's happy news, it's good news for the characters, but at the same time, I'm a bit like, well, this is a bit... Only last year, 50-year-old Sharon got pregnant who technically shouldn't be able to conceive.
Yeah, the original Dennis was a miracle child.
So we were like, okay, that's fine, it's one thing. And now Rainie's pregnant, so it's a bit twice. Okay.
We'll be talking about it when we do the comments at the end, but obviously we had hopes that Rainie and Stuart were going to be this evil couple. I had real excited. If you listen to our past podcasts, I came up with theories of stories they could have.
Yeah, where they secretly hated each other but loved each other, but went against each other, and
but when they had to, they worked together to really destroy people.
Because he was really horrible to her. Because he broke into her kitchen, scared her all the time,
he
and
broke
his
nails
glass
into her arm.
Yeah, and she did weird things to him. But now they're just they're like Nigel and Debbie Bates.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a bit
comedy kind of couple, and they're kind of lovable rogues.
Yeah. They could do so much more because they're such good actors, both of them. So I think it's a shame they're now this sort of comedy. Well, they're like the Robbie Jackson circle of characters.
You said Jay and Lola were the wedding guests of the wedding of the century.
Lola was a bit off with Jay as well, I noticed. He said something nice to her and she was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So obviously she's upset with him again. She likes Peter, doesn't she?
Yes, well.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. He's... full of Bill.
Full of sweet corn.
Yes.
Right, so there you go. That was the whole week summed up.
I know. I feel like I moaned a lot. I am sorry to people. I am sorry to people who listen to this and think, wow, a fun, positive podcast. And
we can only be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
when it's good, we do go on about how good it is.
We go on for days about how good the soap is when it's very good, but unfortunately we go on for the equal amount of time when the soap has been...
Let's just end on a high and talk about Sharon being drunk.
Yeah.
After the death of her son. No, right. We're going to go to comments and go to everyone's thoughts on what they thought of the week, and hopefully it'll be super positive.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So, as Ben says, this is the time of the week where we read out your comments that you've sent to us on our Twitter, our Facebook group, and our Instagram. You can find us just by searching Walford Weekly Podcast, or simply just Walford Weekly on any three of those social medias. You can also find us on TikTok, Ben.
You said.
I have. I just thought I'd
I've not
remind
looked
people.
at it yet.
You really should. Now, every week we always ask you a question and we give you two answers. A yin and a yang, some might say. And this week, talking about what we just talked about Stuart and Rainie, and when they first met, they were an evil duo. But as time's gone on, they've become a fun and lovable couple. Mm-hmm. And whether you preferred them being the evil side or the fun side.
Ooh.
So before we go any further, and before you put your guess out there, we obviously have had a few comments. You excited?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first one says, I hated Stuart and Rainie when they were evil.
That's not nice.
No. They said, someone else has said, they're so brilliant together when they're light-hearted and they both deserve a real shot of real happiness. I love their chemistry as well.
Do they deserve happiness, though?
Well,
the Stuart?
You've just thrown a rabbit out of the hat with your idea and your foreshadowing. The Hearst with Stuart. We need SJM has said, we need an unlikely pairing that end up perfect for each other. If they can find love, and then there's hope for everyone. Their relationship is beautiful and genuine, a modern day Arthur and Pauline, Nigel and Debbie.
Yep.
Although I don't want it to end like Nigel and Debbie's did.
Stuart will get hit by a hearse.
So, what do you think people said? Do you want them to keep them fun or bring back their evil
Well, by
side?
those comments, keep them fun. That's what I'm guessing people said.
Yep, 85% of people said
Ooh.
keep them fun, which meant 15% of people wanted them to go back to their evil ways.
Which means one of them will be dead within a month.
Thanks to everyone who voted. We always put a poll up on our Twitter, on our Instagram, and our Facebook group. We have some more comments. First of all, we're going to talk about Denise and Phil. At Caddy CTS Lover said, as a character, Phil is so much more enjoyable and relatable when he's displaying his emotions.
Yeah, when he was crying in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But then I refused to let myself like him because of the rest of the week. But that one scene.
The rest of the year. But he always does this. He goes in and he redeems himself, inverted commas, because he cries a little bit. And then he apologises a little bit. But he's not apologised to Denise yet. But I suppose he's not nothing to apologise for, has he? He did bring up to Denise, didn't he? He said he didn't want
give up Raymond.
To give up Raymond.
Well, I'm sure he agreed with Sharon that they were going to, but
yeah, but that was with Sharon. Sharon convinced him
that
not
old
to.
slag.
And then Sharon,
as Grant would say.
Yeah, and then Sharon's made out that he was the father of her child, and then it all went into mess. At official JLCYT said, I think Denise will ultimately decide not to keep Raymond and send him away. We have some news also about Lucas's return, as I mentioned earlier on the show. At ES Rafe said, his return is going to be so dark, dramatic, gripping, shocking, and unmissable. So many verbs.
That apparently the big Christmas return, that's the Christmas return, by the way.
Oh, is it? I don't mind that.
I hope it makes sense, his return, though, because he is in prison for 3 murders and an escape.
That's the only thing. Well, at Saf Kaliz said, I'm confused. How has he done such a short stretch for a serial killer? That's a question, isn't it? So maybe he's escaped? We don't know how long he's back for. It could be just a short-term thing. But I would love him to be back for a long
because this
time.
is meant to be the long running story for 2021, isn't it, I think?
Well, the return at Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Like, unless he's just going to be in prison and has someone working for him on... I don't know how it's going to work. Because he can't exactly walk around the square and open a business, can he?
Well, he can if he's been released from prison...
That's a bit weird.
Legitimately. But he's just tried to escape from prison. I can't imagine his good behaviour would have been good enough for him
He's been in 10 years, I think. But 3 murders. Plus faking Denise's kidnap as well. And escaping, so I don't know.
One was an accidental death, don't forget. The rake death.
That's true.
Oh, I love that death so much. Some random comments just to end the show with. At The Version says, the gangster stuff has been dragging on for way too long. They've run out of ideas for what to do with Phil, Ben and Callum.
Here.
At Jamie Coleman T says, when evil pushes Callum too far, plus already stressed by Phil's pressure, he was obviously going to go off to protect the people he loved. I suppose yes. But it seemed a little out of character for Callum.
It did, yeah. Soft. Seeing how soft he was during last Christmas.
Sydney on Facebook says, the saving of the episode this week was a drunk icon Sharon.
It was. Her and Denise. I live in the dream.
And at Danny Rowley says, Ben's dancing was the highlight. I'm not sure if I'm enjoying the Callum and Phil storyline. Would just like people to be happy for a while. We'd all like them all to be happy for a while.
It's like when Ben was cooking a meal. I thought, this is nice, for 2 minutes. And that was it.
And then that was the end of all that. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can, as always, on our Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can also find our Facebook group just by searching Walford Weekly Podcast. Don't forget, if you enjoy the show, to listen and subscribe to us again next week. Hope you all have a good week.
Yeah, we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye.